The first one is one more thing, one more rep, one more, just one more. The top performers, they're going to make one more phone call. They're going to do one more meeting. They're going to go after one more partner. They don't stop at 19. They don't stop at 20. They go that extra. They show up early. They stay late. They do one more thing.
You lose trust in yourself of like, hey, I didn't even do what I intended to do. Your identity starts to shift to, am I a person who can win, or am I a person who can even trust themselves?
Worry is creating a negative outcome that has yet to occur. So basically, you're making up bad crap. If we're going to make up something, make it good. So bust yourself. Like when you have that thought going on, it's like, wait a minute, what could be the best possible outcome for this? And man, does that change the way you show up in the world.
That's so good. Welcome to another episode of the Made to Be Great podcast. Today, I am joined here with Carrie Guerrero, a longtime friend and coach of mine. And so, Carrie, tell us about yourself and what you do in the world.
Wow, what I do in the world. How about I start with I am a wife, proud wife to my husband, Dan. We've been together 25 years. We have 7 kids between us. Yours, mine, and ours family. And kids range from twins at 17 to our eldest daughter at 36. Have been in this wonderful world of mortgage lending for 30 years next month. It's wild to me that that is something that can be said in my out loud. All of a sudden you blink and you're like, wait, 30 years? I'm not that old. Have a passion, for coaching, and originated for 29 of those 30 years. Just hung that up, although barely. I still hold my license because, gosh, girls just got to play sometimes. But that's a little about me. I'm grateful to be here, Josh.
Yes, thanks for joining. I certainly appreciate it. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot happening in the world, and certainly a lot happening in our industry. And so when we start to think about the market and what people are facing, we're going into calendar year 5 of what veterans like us might consider not optimal conditions. And yet there's people really winning, right? In this market. So that's been an interesting thing to watch, is that even though things are hard, there's still people that are doing really well. So as a coach from your seat, you coach some of the top people in the industry at Fairway, where we both work. And so I'd love to hear from you, from your vantage point. What are some of the through lines, like characteristics of the top people who are winning right now? What are they doing, thinking, not doing, not thinking? What are some things that jump out to you as far as patterns that you can see from many different places?
Yeah, absolutely. Number one, and Josh, I know that you know this already, and most people that are listening know this already, and it's pretty broad, but the reality is they're working really hard. There is not a single person out there that is winning in today's market that isn't putting in the hours and the reps and the work necessary to succeed in this market. There have been seasons where maybe a team could lead the way and leaders could step back and not be overly engaged. These teammates who may have been in that space before, where they could, spend a little more time golfing or coasting, as you just said, they have leaned back into their businesses in pretty major ways in this season in order to win.
That is a great observation. Something that's a blessing and a curse in our industry too, and something I'd love to unpack a little bit and get into, is there doesn't seem to be, from my seat, like one thing that everyone's doing other than like 10,000 foot view of working hard and putting in consistent effort. And so blessing and curse is like, there's not one way to win and succeed. There's many ways. And so, uh, your first thought on that kind of validated that hypothesis of,
Healing.
yeah.
Well, I mean, here's what I would say to that is there never has been any one way to win in this
Mm,
business. I mean, at least not in my 30 years of experience.
true, true.
I haven't ever been able to look across at peers, friends, seminars, conferences, whatever, and said, "Oh yeah, there's the one way to win." But there are some strings that you can pull on that you can go,
Mm,
"Oh, okay, they're all doing that."
yeah.
Most of them are operating at a very high relationship level, regardless of how they may go after getting the business, whether that's a
Mm,
one-to-many approach or a one-to-one approach, whether they're still doing coffees or they're doing, you know, brokers opens or they're out doing their own big events. No matter how they're going about doing that, they're fundamentally establishing deeper relationships and making themselves more sticky with
mm,
the relationships they have. And that is across the board with whether it be financial advisors or real estate agents or whether they're doing lead gen themselves and they're just being more sticky with the clients themselves. They are looking for ways where they can connect at a deeper relationship level. And I think that that's one thing that
mm,
legitimately every single originator that you look at and you dissect, you peel back the layers, you're like, oh, that's how you're doing it. That's how you're creating unique value, or that's how you're showing up differently that's making you sticky. Oh, you do that, and that's really functional for you. And that
yeah.
spans a variety of different things. We were just talking to a group of top producers the other day, really asking questions and listening because
Mm,
that's the biggest thing that we can do if we really want to learn. And they all, every single one of them sent them out in groups, like 6 different groups of 3 people came back, and they all said they were getting in front of people, whether that be via Zoom, meeting them face to face. They were
mm,
making sure they were sending videos. In whatever way, they were making sure that clients and partners were seeing their face more, because in today's day and age, let's face it, we can do everything on one of these little phones and this little
y-
device.
y-
We can be out on the lake or, wherever we might be and do
mhm,
business from right here without getting connected to somebody. And that post-COVID
yeah.
culture is very real that we just don't need to connect face to face. But like if I see your face,
Yeah,
uh,
it's different.
it's different. It's harder to
Yeah.
walk away when I actually know who Josh is face to
Mm,
face. It's harder to just be like, "Meh, I'm gonna
yeah.
go talk to Susie over here." So I
Mhm.
think that is one thing that is very consistent throughout.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, is there something that jumps out at you that is a noticeable divide of like the people who are winning at a high level are doing this, the people who aren't winning at a high level are doing that? Is there something like that that jumps out to you?
Hmm. There's a few things. The first one is one more thing, one more rep, one more, just one more. Like the top performers, they're going to make one more phone call. They're going to do one more meeting. They're going to go after one more partner. I don't subscribe, and I know you know this. I don't subscribe to the whole, let's just call 50 people on Monday and those same 50 people every week, whatever. Um, I of course subscribe to staying in touch with people
Right,
with
right.
intentionality, but just the rote scripted calls, that's not my jam personally. But I would tell you that we do need to stay in touch with our people, of course, and they will do one more. The people that are like, I don't wanna call, I don't wanna make those phone calls, or I'm just gonna make the minimum. I mean, that's a separator.
Mm,
Uh, a top performer will get in there and go, "I had it on my to-do list, if you will, today. This is my block of time, my hour of power. I intended to call 20 people, and I
Mm,
called 25. They don't stop at 19. They don't
mm.
stop at, 20. They go that extra,
The
and I
extra
think that
beyond
that's
what they
something.
agreed to and scheduled.
Right.
They do a little more.
Yeah. They show
Yeah.
up early, they stay late, they do one more thing,
Mm,
and it's a mindset shift. When you go from I did just enough, or I did what I said I would do, or frankly, a lot of underperformers don't even do what they said they would do. I mean,
mm.
it's just
Yeah.
real, right?
I've had a lot of conversations like that, and then you lose trust. I've been there. You lose trust
Yeah.
in yourself of like, "Hey, I didn't even do what I intended to do." And so your identity starts to shift
Mhm.
to, am I a person who can win, or am I a person who can even trust themselves? It's those little things I've noticed that make a difference in, can you sustain the energy and the momentum by just even doing what you said, even when you wake up not feeling it, or you had a hard call before that and you're just like, you just keep putting one foot in front of the other and doing the next right thing that you know how to do, even when it feels crazy, which is like, I mean, things are,
Well, that's
this
the
has been a
definition of
wild year so far. Yeah.
it's the definition of discipline, right?
Yeah.
The definition of discipline is doing what you said you would do or you committed to do, whether you feel like it or not.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
frankly, what I have to say to that is I get it. And yes, a lot of people have been in that headspace and they're
Yeah.
not keeping the promises that they make to themselves. And so often we in the coaching realm will walk them back to, okay, let's break that down to something not so gargantuan, right? Let's take that down into smaller pieces and let's get you back to winning, and let's
Yeah.
define what winning looks like and what
Yeah.
that
We talked about that on a recent call, to shifting that, like, define what is a win. Cause so many salespeople, entrepreneurs, whether you're a real estate agent, a loan officer, or just you're a business person listening to
right.
this, um, or a parent, I mean, you could define a win as like, did you do the right effort? But a lot of us define it as, did I get the outcome that I wanted
Exactly.
with that effort? And when you can shift, that was something you helped me with, that it could help some people who are listening to this, is to shift it to like, hey, instead of thinking like you win if you like get more business, or, open up a new relationship, it's like, did you do the activity that you said you
Exactly.
would do that could lead to those things with enough repetitions? And when you start to shift it like that, it's helped my attitude and mindset and identity for sure. So,
Well, not even could. You know what? Top performers, and this is the crux of your question is top performers,
mhm,
right? Like,
mhm,
what do top performers do differently? So I'm merely, hey, that's one of the
yeah,
things they do differently, but they also expect the win. They really do.
yeah, that's
They
good.
don't like, I do this work and I know that if I do A, B, and C, it is going to
Yeah,
result in
the outcome that I
the
want.
outcome that I'm
I'll
looking for.
stay on
And
task long.
I'm not gonna allow that to not be the case. I mean, if I may have to adjust along the way and, we all have to make course corrections as we
Yeah,
roll, but I know that I'm gonna do these things. I've done them before, I'm gonna do them again, and
mm,
they are going to produce this result I'm looking for. I'm not gonna quit. Most underperformers do it for a short period of time, don't see the result that they're looking for, don't count the wins of
mm,
each step along the way. They get disappointed because they didn't get the outcome they were looking for fast enough. So they have this behavior, and that behavior does not produce the results. You got to show
mm,
up every single day. People look at this and they can connect to this so readily. You can't
yeah.
just go to the gym like 3 times and have a
Be like,
six
"Why haven't I lost 20 pounds, and why haven't
right?
I?" Yeah, yeah.
It's just
No
I
one
really
expects that.
wanted that to happen, but,
Yeah,
if you go for 8 weeks, you'll start to notice changes in your body. You go for
Yeah.
12 weeks and other people are like coming up to you going, "Wow, what have you been doing?" You know, you go for 6 months and your entire body can change, but you got
Yeah.
to go consistently for that period of time and not stop. Right?
Right.
You have to continue to be committed to the activities that you know are gonna produce the result and expect that it's going to happen because it does. I have a
Mm.
producer that I had the honor and blessing of working with, and they had to they were a leader, who they were in a position where they weren't originating anymore, and they made the decision a year ago, "Hey, I gotta get back in this game because market has changed and things have changed in terms of the branch dynamic, and I really need to lean back into originating." And they knew exactly what I mean, just because they hadn't been originating for a while didn't mean they didn't know how it worked. They
Right.
performed at a high level before and they were ready to do it again. And they said, "Okay, here's the deal. This is what I'm going to do." And laid it out, followed the plan, did exactly what I just said, and now is on path to do 50 million this year. A
Mm.
year later, it was a decision to do the activities that needed to be done after being out of the origination space really for a number of years. Like, not for a minute, but restarting from ground zero. Here's the path.
That's an encouraging and inspirational story in this market. You
It
know, to
it
my
is
earlier point of like people are winning, you know, like
right,
I was looking in my micro markets for where I am,
right.
Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville. I have a couple people in Little Rock, Arkansas,
Yeah.
and there, no matter how tough the conditions got or how high the rates got, in each market, there was about 25,000 resale transactions, not new construction.
Mhm.
And when you think about it in that scope, it's like for a loan officer in today's environment with our loan amounts where they are, if you had 100 of those 25,000 transactions, you would be doing pretty well. And so
Yeah.
when you that helped me shift it to like, okay, there's transactions out there, and it's a matter of who you hang out with, what you listen to, what you let in,
Mhm.
and you know, that's a great so talking to that person because I suspect people watching and listening to this, there may be a couple people who are in a similar situation
Sure.
where they're a leader in the mortgage or real estate space and they've been leading and not actively producing and the economics of the business since April of 2022 has changed a lot
Sure.
and, my opinion, from my vantage point, what I look at, I feel like this is a change that's probably a shift, not like a temporary condition. That's maybe like a longer term shift. So people looking at that going, hey, if I want to reach my personal goals, my financial goals, probably, you know, not producing isn't the way. Walk us through the, um, not only just with that person, but maybe others you've talked to like that,
Sure.
that what is the mental gymnastics of that? Was that person was it just like a slip decision, like, "Hey, this is what I do," or was there a hesitation? Was there feelings about, you know, "I can't believe I'm here," or
Oh,
t
well, I mean,
tell
can speak to that personally, Josh, because, have been there myself. I mean, not in this last few years, but, I was in that space myself when I made the move to Fairway because I had made a move out of the business for a minute and a half. I mean, it really was a minute and a half because at my former company, I had this call to coaching, right? And I knew it. I knew that there was this call. You need to go do this. And had tried to do other consulting coaching things and start a business and blah 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 while
mm,
originating in my at that point in my life it was like, nope, I feel this very clear call to exit and that I
mm,
need to focus on this one thing. And
which
when I
was
came back,
coaching at the time?
which was
Okay.
coaching and exclusively. I had been doing it for years prior, but as a side hustle, and I was like, "Nope, I
You
need
did
to go
some
all."
producing,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Okay. So you made
Um,
this shift, you got into full-time coaching, and then when you came to Fairway, you made another shift?
I did. Well, the shift was I need to originate some loans
Yeah,
because my full-time coaching career was not supporting my family anywhere near at the capacity that I was accustomed to as a previous SVP who had multiple branches in my origination practice and all of the things, right? I mean,
yeah,
we all can imagine it was just not the and that same year, I mean, it's so funny that I think God laughs sometimes at our plans, but Dan became a pastor in that same year. So in case anybody
this
out
is
there
another
doesn't know,
high-paying job, right?
yes, it's a really high paying job.
Yeah,
And he actually went from a paying job to being a pastor.
nice.
And so it was like, wow, okay, it was a necessity for me to go originate some loans in that season. And my mind said, okay, I'm going to keep working on my coaching practice and I'm just going to go do 5 loans a month, right? Like I'll just do
Just
5
5.
loans. Just 5. I just need to do 5
I
loans a
still
month
not
and that
see that hard for you. Just 5.
5.
Just 5.
Well, anybody knows that if you go do 5 loans really well, if you have the mindset of a top performer, which I don't believe you can shut off if you have it. Like,
Mm,
I think that if that's who you've been and who you are, I do believe that that is something that stays with you. You may need to reignite it. And
yeah.
I will tell you, Josh, I felt like a failure. I
Mm,
certainly didn't have some great deep desire to go out there and do it at that moment in time. It was a necessity. And the person that I'm referencing, that was the same situation. They weren't
mm,
like, "Oh, I'm so looking forward to going and doing this." It was, "This is what I need to do for myself and my family, and so I'm making a decision to do that."
yeah, yeah.
And now that I've made the decision to do that, well, I'm gonna do it really well.
Mm,
And I think that that's we can sit there and waffle, but once we make a decision and you go, "Okay, I'm all in. I'm
mm,
all in," then you're all in. And now it's go time. Okay, so what does this look like? And you have a plan. This is the plan I'm going to work. And I go do it. And that's what I did. And that's what they did. Um, Quickly, the 5 loans done really well. 5 loans becomes 10 loans. I mean, they just multiply like bunny rabbits when you do things the right way, right?
well, and even in this market, something I've noticed, and I noticed this more when I began to recruit loan officers, is
Yeah.
you assume if you have certain standards or perform a certain way, you assume all of your competition in the market also does that,
No.
which I've learned is not necessarily the case. And so when you do start executing at that level and other people notice, it kind of can take on a life of its own, and people are starting to hand your card out or text your number now, and like,
To say
it,
business cards, Josh? We
no
still
one's
have
handing you
those?
a card. I have a QR code now. It's one of them. Yeah. So
It does. That is definitely a differentiator in top performers versus average performers as well. And strong opinion, probably not one that is super popular with a
let's
lot
get
of
to
folks,
that.
but I believe that top performers are differentiating themselves in at a really big clip. There's a distance
Mm, yeah.
between I will implement what is new, I will go lean into new product, new program, differentiating myself, using the new technology, leaning into AI, using it as my helpmate, as my teammate to walk beside, run beside me in order to grow. And that gap is widening between people who are waiting for the market to shift. You opened this whole thing with it's been 5 years and dark,
Yeah. 5 years of tough. Yeah. Yeah.
right? Um, I would tell you that there are a lot of people out there every day that are like, I don't 5 years is a long time. It doesn't matter. This is the new normal.
Yeah,
Market
exactly.
side. I'm just I'm not focused on the fact that it has been hard. I'm just focused on going out and slaying it. And I'm going to figure out how to win today, and it
And
doesn't matter what's going on in the market. It doesn't matter if rates are erratic. It doesn't matter if, rates are 7 or 6 or 5. It does like that. It is what it is. We don't
yeah,
control that. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to control what I can control, do what I can do. And
mm,
that is, I can lean into new lines of business. I can lean into new relationships. I can go out with the power of a positive attitude. I can go out and I can educate people. I can go out and I can learn how to take this piece of AI that others are afraid of or worried it's going to take over their jobs or whatever. And I can go, hey, how do I run beside this and become more efficient? So I can go out there and I can deepen relationships, leveraging this very tool to give me more time back so I can pour into the things that I'm passionate about. That that is very different than the person who's sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, I really wish interest rates would come down so that maybe I could, get
have it
some."
into your time.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
super different.
very true, very true. So that answers one of my next questions, which is, um, what's something that is like, what's one of the biggest things that hold people back? And something that's come up already a couple of times on this is like your perspective. Is that maybe something that you would say, like what you choose to think about, how you choose to view the circumstances? Is there anything else that
Well,
jumps out at you?
when I think about that, um, I'm a mindset coach through and through. I my training is in neuro leadership, and so I think about what holds people back, and most of the time, it's what's between their ears, right? It's the negative thinking inside our minds every single day, and our minds are predispositioned to that which is negative at a
Yeah.
rate significantly greater than that which is positive. You already mentioned it a couple of times. What are you I mean, I would, number 1, examine how are you spending your time? What are you feeding your mind? What are you
Mm,
reading? What are you listening to? Who has got a place in your head? Who's on your
yeah.
shoulder? Right? And most often, it's ourselves, right? That are there going, we're their greatest naysayers. In there going, well, that's
Yeah.
not gonna work. Sorry, Carrie, that's not gonna work. You can't make that happen. And you gotta like smack that stuff down and replace it with positive identity things that are really good, for me, I'm a woman of faith. That is just part of who I am. And so fundamentally, I've got to connect to who and whose I am. Right. And when I have that connection going on, there's not a whole lot that can get in the way. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
That's good. We share that Christian faith in common. And, that's something that, that identity of like believing, who God made you to be, it's definitely a comforting and encouraging um, aspect of
right.
you know what we both believe. A good buddy of mine, the producer of this podcast, Sterling, he he also has a clothing brand, and he recently came out with a hoodie that says on the front, "God never changed his mind about me."
Mm,
I love wearing that out, and I love seeing it in my closet because it's like, no matter what happens, no matter what I don't do or do, God never changes his mind about me. And that's kind of like the most reassuring thing, in any difficult thing that you're facing or any challenge you're trying to overcome is that, God never changed his mind about you, never changed his mind about me. And, what we believe, like imagine something I've thought of, and I think we've talked about this before, is imagine if someone else talked to you the way you
Right.
talk to yourself, you'd probably would, like, disassociate with them. I couldn't be friends with
Exactly.
you anymore, and yet we do it to ourself. It's, like, kind of a very interesting phenomenon, so that's something I've
Well,
appreciated about our relationship and the coaching is just that constant, um, coming back to, you know, what's your
well,
value, what's your purpose.
at the end of the day, Josh, um, we we serve for his glory,
Yeah,
not for our own. So I look at that and I go, okay, if I look at that through that lens, how am I doing? But, in terms of practical mindset stuff, that's exactly what we need to become more aware of.
mm,
What are the narratives? What are the stories that we're telling ourselves? Or what are we hearing from other people? Personally will get into a space where if I'm talking to somebody and they're just overly negative, I like to find the exit, like,
mm,
relatively quickly.
yeah,
I can't turn that conversation positive and all the person is just consistently Debbie Downer, not likely to associate with them intentionally. Like, I will just like I
'cause
said.
your energy, that's self-management of your own energy, right? Because that's so depleting to be around somebody that's just
Right,
bummed out about everything all the time, and it's just I know I feel that energy when
right.
I get around certain people, and I just can't wait to
Right. Well,
stay
so you
longer.
politely find the exit ramp,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
also I think it's important for us to have awareness of ourselves and where
Yeah.
we might do that because, again, we're all predispositioned to it. I was listening to something the other day about complaining, and I know it's not new, and we probably all heard it a dozen different times, but they were like, just challenge yourself just for 24 hours. The next 24 hours, pay attention and don't complain once. And
Yeah. Can be eye-opening.
if you fail, you start over. So people will be like, it took me 7 days, it took me 2 weeks, it took me whatever to get through a full 24-hour period of time without complaining. And that's just
And these are probably on average people who wouldn't consider themselves negative, I'm
right,
guessing. Yeah.
right.
Illustrates
So
the
when you
point.
think about that, the lack of awareness is where
Yeah.
I think a lot of us need to start, is just
Mm.
to be reflective, hold that mirror up and pay attention to what we're thinking, what we're talking about, what we're letting into our minds and probably, that mind, it's a gate to the heart, right? Like what
Yeah.
goes in here, it settles here in our hearts. And so we need to be really mindful of that because if something settles in our heart and it's not good, that can get us stuck, right?
Yeah.
So we need to find some other good stories. My coach has an expression that he got from his coach, and it is that,
Mm.
worry, anxiety. This is something that we deal with in this industry every single day. I mean, the average originators, most of us 100% commission, don't know. Real estate agents don't know where that
Yeah.
next paycheck is coming. Every day we start at ground zero. Every month, the bank account's it's zero
Clean
again.
slate.
So what are we going to do
Yeah.
this month? And there's this anxiety or worry for many around where will that next deal come from or will that next deal stay with me or what have you.
Yeah.
And I think that this definition of worry is just something that everybody should latch onto, and that is that worry is, by again just one definition, it's creating a negative outcome that has yet to occur. So basically you're making up bad crap,
Yeah.
right?
You're like, "Here's
Oh,
something that I don't want to happen. Let me
right.
think about it often."
Yes. But if it hasn't occurred yet, so you're making up
It may
a
never occur. Yeah,
right. It
we
may never occur. So if
and
you're gonna make stuff up,
interestingly,
yeah.
that's I run a stat on that, not to interrupt the whole thing
Oh,
there, but
right.
it was the number of thoughts that are negative and the percentage that comes true is something like
Nothing.
87 or 90 something percent of the time it doesn't come true, like that thing you're worried about, or and so that was like crazy to me. Like,
Well, we can all look at our own lives and see that. Like, if
yeah,
you're listening to this and you're like, no, that's not me." I mean, just think about the last thing you worried about, think about the things you worried about over the last 3 months, and have any of them come true? Most of us will create a mountain, right, of worry about something, and then we encounter the situation, we walk through it, and on the other side, we're like, "Oh, that wasn't near as bad as I thought that it was." So if worry is creating a negative outcome that has yet to occur, it means we're making up junk. If we're going to make up something, make it good.
yeah, make
Make
up
up
something
good
awesome. Might as
stuff,
well. If you're gonna
right?
make it up, make it good.
So bust yourself. Like when you
Yeah,
have that thought
yeah.
going on, it's like, wait a minute, hang on. You
Mm,
know what? I don't know that that's going to happen. I'm making up a story here. How about I make up a better one? What could be the best possible outcome for this? We start thinking in terms of best possible outcome. And man, does that change the way you show up in the world.
that's so good. That's so good.
Yeah.
I love that. That's I think that's more important now than ever. Um, Especially in this age of social media and 24-hour news cycle. And something I noticed 10, 15 years ago when I first started getting coached is the percentage of news that's negative versus positive is insane. Like if like the news ever comes on after something I'm watching or something, it's like they don't start with today. A nice man helped a old lady across the street, and it was amazing. Like, here's the footage. It's like so and so was robbed. This person, like, it's like all bad stuff that bums you out. It's like I can't even
I
like have my
I
kids
don't
in the
listen
room when
to
it
it.
comes on. It's like, yeah.
I don't
So,
listen to it. I read the cliff notes. I know where I want to
yeah,
go to get the news that I want, and I read it there. Listen to things each morning that I know are going to be the pieces that will give me facts that I'm looking for, because that's just one of those things that I think breeds negativity in me. For other people can say, it's good for them, they like it, blah blah blah. Fine.
I don't
That
know how you come out of that with. I mean, how you could listen to something and that's super negative repeatedly and then not be affected by it. I've never
my
been.
my personality profile has a predisposition toward anger.
Mm,
Whether that's I assume you would know that.
yeah,
Um, but it does. It has a predisposition toward anger as a primary emotion. And so then I would listen to that stuff and I would find myself angry. And I would,
yeah,
ooh, that's not who I want to be in the world. So I think no. I think I'll,
yeah.
I think I'll just omit that from life.
Which also in this day and age of technology is really easy to adjust for if you're intentional,
Mm,
like social media. If I
yep,
see something, I'm on there for business and family connection, and if I see something that I feel is a withdrawal from my mental or emotional bank account,
mhm,
unfollow, unfriend, depending on the severity. If I see an ad that I don't like that takes me to a bad goodbye, don't want to see this. If
right?
you're deliberate about your algorithm like that. And some people listening, if everyone doesn't already know this, I'll share this too. What I noticed is that even if you let something show up on the screen and you don't right away scroll, even like 3, 4, 5 seconds of hanging on to something that you're looking at that's negative, you'll see the algorithm thinks you want it, and then
Mm,
you're going to keep seeing it. So, but when you're intentional about those things, you can shift and turn that into a tool for encouragement, inspiration, and then it can have the opposite effect of like pulling you to a better place, which is great, you know?
100%. You start listening to podcasts, following positive mindset, positive motivational stuff, listening to that, watching that, and then your feed will be full of that stuff. So I love that, Josh.
So to wrap up here,
Yeah.
what are 2 or 3 things that you would say as a coach that if someone is a salesperson, mortgage loan officer, realtor, entrepreneur in this market, what are 2 or 3 non-negotiable, these are Carrie's top things that you need to do to win in 2026? What comes to your mind?
Well, the very first thing would be to monitor and exercise that mindset muscle. You know,
Mm,
need to be evaluating first, which is an awareness thing, practicing awareness of what you're thinking and what's coming out of your mouth and into your mind on a daily basis. And the second thing would probably be to really define, what does excellence, or what are you passionate about doing and doing well, and get out there and do it. Make a decision,
mm.
right? If you've been waffling, you've been sitting on a fence, and I often use that analogy, right? Because nothing ever happens when we're fence sitting.
No, it doesn't. Nothing
We're
good.
I'm good.
Yeah.
So jump on one side or another and
Mm,
just go. Just start. Take that one step toward where it is you wanna go. Make sure
mm.
you're measuring right,
Yeah,
right? Don't be
yeah,
measuring, like we talked about, that outcome. Measure each step and celebrate each step along the way, because that's gonna
yeah.
create the momentum that you need to keep going.
I love that. Last thing I wanna just add in here, and we'll link this in the show notes. Do you wanna share, you wrote a book,
I did.
which was a very cool collection of stories of people overcoming, and do you wanna share a little bit about that? And we'll link that in the notes.
I would love to. Thank you, Josh. Yes, I published my first book last year on my 50th birthday, Discovering Wise. It's Women in Search of Excellence. And the whole premise of the book is it's a 52-week self-guided journey. Although I believe what's on my heart is that this book is showing up in women's book clubs and studies
Yeah,
throughout the nation, where women are getting together on a weekly basis and going through asking these really important questions of themselves and sharing with other people, because I believe that community certainly helps to keep us going, right? But it's what excellence means to you, and it is a unique compilation of a lot of women's stories, along with my own, of, like you said, trials, tribulations, life, and all very different. So it lends to that. Look, there is no one definition of excellence. You need to figure out what yours is for yourself.
I love that. Thank you so much for joining us today on the show. I appreciate everything that you shared, and hopefully we'll have you back on the show again. I
Well,
appreciate you.
a
Uh,
pleasure to be here, Josh. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you. And thank you to the viewers and listeners for tuning in to another episode of the Made to Be Great podcast. We'll see you soon.
You were made to be great. Don't settle for less. You were made to be great. Don't settle for